Okay, welcome back. I'm Trinity. This is Love Spiracy. I had to move my mic closer because I know my throat's starting to hurt and I don't want to stop recording. So I hope that you actually watched the last episode. So I'm gonna go because I was discussing Elon Musk's AI. So I want to get more into NATO. So when you make connects with a certain governmental agencies, they have their own personal way of doing things, right? So we have ours and here in the US, Canada has their own, Europe has their own. So everybody has their own way of hiding things in their own way. NATO doesn't. Or if NATO does, then you're about to learn what that is. So welcome to NATO. So I'm just going to cover a little bit about NATO. And there's the overview. So NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is a is a military alliance of European and North American countries. NATO was formed in 1949 to protect member countries' security and freedom. Their purpose is to safeguard member countries' freedom and security, to promote democratic values and diplomacy, to enable members to consult and cooperate on defense and security issues, and to build trust and prevent conflict. Their structure: NATO headquarters is in Brussels, where representatives from all member states meet to make decisions. Military committee, made up of the chiefs of defense of member countries. Keep that in mind, right? The military committees of member countries. In the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations created NATO in 1949. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked a turning point in NATO's role in Europe. And if you remember, because I want to say I might have been too young, or I just wasn't into that back then. Anyway, that happened during Reagan. So anyway, NATO conducted military interventions in Bosnia in 1992 to 1995 and in Yugoslavia in 1999. NATO and cyber defense. NATO recognizes that malicious cyber activities could be considered an armed attack. The North Atlantic Council could invoke Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty in such cases. So I did not. All right. So anyway, Article 5 of the NATO states that, quote, if one member is attacked, all members will consider it an attack. This means that all members are obligated to take action to help the attacked member, including using armed forces if necessary. This is where I'm trying to tell you to pay attention. So the US was literally signing part of NATO. They weren't just there, they weren't taking photos, they weren't just sitting there quiet. They played a huge part. They clearly understood exactly why it was needed. Keep that in mind. Because here's how Article 5 works. Mutual defense. Members agree to maintain and develop their ability to resist an armed attack. Collective defense. The principle that an attack on one member is an attack to all members. Members have the right to use force in defense of the territory protected by the treaty. So this is where Russia and Ukraine are having this problem. Russia is not like, or Russia hasn't done this like a bazillion other times. This is not news. This is very particular now because of what Ukraine has. And I'll discuss that in a minute. Anyway, why is Article 5 important? Article 5 is a key principle in NATO's founding treaty. It binds members together, committing them to protect each other. It also sets a spirit of solidarity within the alliance. So we're walking out of that. It's like we made a huge agreement. Not to say that agreements can't be broken because they do this kind of nonsense all the time. Doing this behind closed doors is one thing. Doing this at the UN is another thing. There's ways to do this bullshit. And I really do think that they thought they had Trump under control. Not a lot of people that are compromised in the way that he is do that out of fear of what's going on. Key point. When he decided to come out of his face, and this is before the Zelensky debacle, when he decided to start showing his ass in the beginning, everybody was already preparing. They were like, okay, we have to get stuff together. There's a possibility he's going to do something stupid. Then he did something stupid. Every time he was taking like this little tiny piece, he took like a sliver of cake, right? And every time he did that, they were like, so what? It's a giant cake. He's just taking a tiny piece. That undermining of thinking that he's just being who he is or who his handlers are, and I'll be discussing handlers in the next episode. When you get to that point where you just think that that person is doing exactly what they always do, that's a form of like what is that thing called? I did a thing about that like 10 years ago. Stockholm syndrome. So when you get to this point where somebody's just doing the same thing over and over again, that you just dismiss it. They dismissed it. They didn't know that he was going to go above and beyond. So you may ask, how did he get everybody else to follow? And this is where I'm going to go with this. They're scared, not of Trump, obviously. They're scared because they know something we all don't know. Lindsey Graham, who is an asshole, cried twice on TV for money. He was like, look, we need this money. Give him the whatever debt ceiling he wants. Just give it to him, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then he did it again. He did it when the guy that they put as the border czar needed money to start detaining people, and he couldn't get it. And I'm talking about like red eye. I'm talking about, I mean, the whole shebang. Listen, just like a woman left at the altar. That's how he did it. It was fantastic. So he does this whole, pony show. Everybody's just like, okay, well, I don't know what's happening. The rest of the country didn't know what was happening. They just know that there was a dude that shouldn't be crying on TV that was crying on TV. When you get to this point and everybody else is hearing things, because that's what keeps happening. There's these little leaks, right? Oh, somebody on Twitter. Oh, somebody that keeps happening. It's either two things. It has to be two things. One, it's true. Two, it's planted. Whatever the situation is, these people are going on television. They're going into their town halls. They're doing this with bravado. They're like, yes, we know this is correct. We know. You don't walk into a place like that. Anybody with a lick of common sense doesn't do that unless they're 100,000% sure. And I might just be talking about myself. I don't know if people actually do that. If they do, that's really dumb. Um, when we start trying to piece everything together on what happened and what they're doing, when you realize NATO has power, like not just the little things of, protect my friends, because it's a schoolyard situation, right? Everybody has a clique. They're all cliques, right? I had a clique when I was a kid. And you can do one or two things in every click. I know if you hear me, you know about this click, and you may have been a part of it. When you're part of a click and they want to be mean to somebody else, and mind you, if you're the leader of the clique, then you're not going to do it. But let's say you're not. I've never been in a clique as like a regular person, like a follower. But if you're concerned about where you stand in an entire situation, you only have one or two choices. One, you put everybody in that clique in check as the leader and say, no, we will not do this. Or you say things behind their back. And let's say somebody's getting bullied, right? And then the whole clique on them all day long. You could either put them in check or you could wait until nobody else is around and say, I'm so sorry. I wish that didn't happen to you. I wish I could do more. This is where I see the government here. And this is where I see how they're handling the entire situation. This is so bad. This is so bad. I'm not saying there was any president before this that was kick ass. There has never in the history of any country that had a president, a prime minister, a king. We just don't do it that way because we live in a form of being controlled. And then there's those of us, me, and people like you that don't want to be controlled. You just want to live your life. Just be a good person and shut up about it. That's not how it happens because the majority is always going to win. And that's what happened with this dude. And do I believe that he didn't actually win? I absolutely believe Trump didn't win. Absolutely. Absolutely. His supporters could yell and they could scream and they could wear their hats and they could be racist and do what that's fine. I did uh I did a show in 2016. And the reason why I know these dates is because I still have my Facebook and I have like you can go to memories and I could see where I wrote this stuff down. When you get to this point and everybody seems to be completely clueless, you have to ask yourself, what world do you live in? You have to look at other people. There are people that go out there and they have their giant flag and whatever situation they're doing, or they have that. I know I wouldn't do that. I don't see myself doing that. The only time I do dumb shit like that is like if I have like a New York shirt on, which I'll probably have on next week or something, and I have like a chef's hat because I cook. So like, you take like these little things. You don't go out there and put, I'm inconsiderate or I'm loud or I refuse to do research or, whatever the hell you're trying to do. That's really not how it's supposed to work. So right now, NATO is doing something behind everybody else's back. And in the next show, I'm sorry, in the next episode, because I'm going to do this in like 3 minutes, I'm going to discuss NATO's hidden keywords. And I think that they have been activated. I think that, I think they know. I think the preparation is real. I think the fear is real. I think that Trump went rogue. And I think that we don't have a lot of options. And the ones that they're going to choose, they're not going to be any better. Trudeau begging, well, I want to be your friend. That's all of it. Nonsensical shit. All of it. All of it. They know what they're going to do. They're planning it. And when I come back, I'm going to tell you about the NATO security briefings and their keywords, which you're not going to hear anywhere else. I'm going to keep bringing you top notch stuff. And it's going to be the collective defense and Article 5, which I wanted to kind of discuss, but it's a little bit long. So come back. And then, of course, I have to make sure everything's get recorded because I made a mistake before. A lot. So, Trinity, Love Spiracy, thank you for being here. I have to get some water. It's a lot. So, uh, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, like, and share. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.